Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to call this third quarter meeting of the GreenNY Council to order. My name is Frank Ciampa. I'm serving as the designee for NYSERDA's President and CEO, Doreen Harris. It's an honor to be with you here today. It's especially fitting that we're gathering during the New York City Climate Week. There's leaders and people that are working in our space that are really meeting and gathering from around the world to discuss goals and commitments, and this council is really focused on what I think matters most a lot, implementation. And yesterday, Governor Hochul reinforced some of our state's commitment by announcing the plan for the landmark $1 billion Sustainable Future program that hopefully will help us accelerate that transition. It's a powerful reminder that while many may retreat, New York is really doubling down and trying to build a cleaner and more resilient future for all. So our work is that tangible proof that a commitment and more of what we'll hear about today is there, and we're proud to release a feature of that, our 13th annual Greening New York State report, which is really a great example. It's our scorecard for leading by example, really detailing some of the progress made by our 75 affected entities of New York State government. The full report, it's very comprehensive, but its highlights really speak volumes from achieving energy savings milestones to investing in green products and services. I'm excited to hear more about that later in our program. So this report sets the stage for more important work on our agenda today. So we'll look forward to preview our Build Smart 2030 program. We will continue the detail of our foundational work of our Green New York procurement specifications. And as always, we will hear directly from our working groups whose efforts are really what drives this progress forward. So this is a whole of government effort, and it requires all of us around every entity, all kind of working together, breaking down those silos and finding innovative solutions. So thank you for your partnership in this critical mission. And with that, we have our first order of business, which is the approval of the June 2025 minutes when we met and convened last. So I actually think we want to move along with the slides a little bit. This is our agenda. Why don't we pause on that for folks in the room just to see the agenda, the slide prior, please. Great. All right, and second bullet is where we'll pick up with approval of the minutes. And as I was mentioning, a copy of those minutes had been circulated around to the council members before today. It's been posted on our Green New York website. So I'd like to open the floor to see if anyone has any comments, questions, or edits that they'd like to make. All right, hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our June 25 meeting.
I would like to second that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Great, thanks so much. And I think for our note takers as well, would like to get your name for the record, please.
Pam Haddad-Hurst will make the motion.
Thank you.
Peter Hoffman from DASNY seconds the motion.
Great, thank you. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? All right, the motion carries and the minutes are approved. Next, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, we'll have the official release of the 13th annual Greening New York State report. It's really the culmination of a tremendous effort for data collection and coordination across all 75 affected entities. We really try to provide a transparent look at our progress, and we've got Heather Ipson, my colleague from NYSERDA, to walk us through the highlights from fiscal year 23-24. Heather.
Hello, everybody. Oh, okay, we are on. Okay. Hi, everyone. Yes, I am Heather Ipson from NYSERDA. I help co-lead the Green New York Reporting Working Group, and we are very excited that today we are going to release the 13th annual Greening New York State report. And as a reminder, this is covering the fiscal year 23-24, so it's a little bit older data. Some of this may be updated, but you will see that next year when we publish the next report. So The next slide is just an image of the infographic that provides some of the major highlights that we have here. I'll name out a few, and then I'll get into a couple of the specific sections within the report. And there's still a number of things that you will want to read about in the report, so I encourage you to give the full report a read. But I just wanted to pull out some exciting things from fiscal year 23-24. So 16.9% tons of materials were composted by affected entities during this time. We planted nearly 68,000 trees. And there's an 89% overall recycling rate. And then I think I'm going to get into some more of the specifics of the Build Smart program after this. So I'm going to go to the next slide and talk about the section for engaging staff on sustainability. So it's very exciting to see that not only do all affected entities have sustainability coordinators, greater than 50% reported having actual teams. And as we know, having a full team of support is really, really important to get things done in the sustainability world. So that's very exciting to see, and we hope that we can get that closer to 100% as the years go on. And we also hosted our annual Green New York Forum that is upcoming this year again in November. So we're very excited about that program. And hope for continued success there and more people to come each year. There's also a sustainability coordinator orientation training that was developed this year. So that is on the Green New York SharePoint for sustainability coordinators that are new and who need to maybe get some more training in or even just a refresher. It's very helpful as a resource that is always available. So on the next slide, we will talk about waste and toxic reduction. So total waste generated decreased by 50%, which is a lot, as compared to 22-23, the fiscal year, sorry. And the waste diversion plans were submitted by most agencies, and they are to guide our progress towards reducing 10% waste every 5 years. And there is also a lot of work inventorying and removing outdated hazardous chemicals from storage, which is obviously a great thing. We hope that that continues in the next year and the labs continue to be as sustainable as they are. So then the next section, in the next slide, energy. We have, affected entities have collectively logged 8.4 trillion BTUs of energy-saving projects through the Build Smart 2025 program, and that puts the state on track to meet the energy efficiency goal of 11 trillion BTUs. You will hear a bit more about the Build Smart program shortly, but just wanted to highlight that awesome stat. In the next section, sustainable transportation, 7.4% of the state's non-emergency light-duty fleet was zero-emission vehicles by the end of fiscal year 23-24. You will also hear a little bit more about ZEVs later on, but that is great progress, and we're excited to start moving forward with the medium and heavy-duty conversion plans. And next, the green space and resilience section. There were many pollinator gardens that were planted and maintained, some really great photos in the report if you want to check those out. As I mentioned, there's been over 67,000 trees planted, which furthers the governor's 25 million trees incentive. There's a really cool tool on the DEC website to track that progress, so check that out. And it's also featured in our report as well. The invasive species that the affected entities have on their land have been managed. Endangered species were also protected. So all sorts of great things happening in this space. And there's been infrastructure that has been installed, bioretention basins, bioswales, rain gardens, green roofs, rainwater harvesting systems, and permeable pavement. Again, some great photos in this report, so check that out. And in the next section, green procurement, there have been new projects launched to improve green purchasing, and that includes updating all the green purchasing specs, I should say. And an additional upcoming project will make it much easier to find green products on state contracts through preferred sources. So sometimes it can be a burden to sift through some of that information, so we're going to try to make it easier. And then we'll move on to the final slide here, which is just our summary statement. Each year, New York State continues to improve its sustainability performance, paving the way for a greener future for all its residents. So we are super proud of all of the progress that has been made so far, and we are really looking forward to hearing about the progress in the next, or that was made, I guess, in the fiscal year that you'll be reporting on for next year's report. So that's all I have for now, unless there are any questions.
All right, thank you, Heather. That's a testament to the hard work happening every day in our Green New York community. Now I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the report for official public release. Do I have a motion?
Courtney Denton, DOB.
Pam Haddad-Hurst will second.
Thank you. And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Well, we'll consider that approved and the report officially released, and this and other resources are available from our Green New York website. So thank you, Heather, for giving us a recap, and we look forward to looking at that report for additional details.
Hey, Frank, we didn't do proper attendance, and we do have a quorum, so we can vote, but I just wanted to note that we didn't do a quick go around the room to let people know who are here. So maybe we should just do that quickly.
That's a good point, and administrative oversight, my bad. We do have, as you noted, a quorum, but probably going around and saying who's in the room officially makes sense. I've already said hello, Frank Champa from NYSERDA.
Thanks, Frank. Tim Kirchgraber, Empire State Development.
Pam Haddad-Hurst, DEC.
Peter Hoffman, DASNY.
Marianne Jang, OGS.
Courtney Denton, DOB.
Brian Hahn, EFC.
Ron Roush, Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation.
Mike Flynn, Department of Transportation.
Eric Mazzone, NYPA.
Great. Thank you so much for those introductions, and thank you all for being here and participating in this session. Next, we have not only folks that are here in the room, but also the opportunity for the public to make a comment on some of our activities. I see that we've had a few other folks who've joined the room. Are you interested in making a public comment? All right. In that case, remind everyone that written comments can be submitted at any time. We've got a Green New York email address, and we welcome and value any kind of public engagement in our work. We will move right along to the next item in our agenda. This is more of a forward-looking update on our state facility energy efficiency goals. The Build Smart 2025 program has really been instrumental in driving significant energy efficiency savings, putting us on track to meet our savings goals by the end of the year. Today, we'll get an update on that, as well as a preview of what's to come. Lindsay Holly from the New York Power Authority. The floor is yours.
Great, thanks, Frank. Hi, everyone. Lindsay Holly from the New York Power Authority, NYPA, as Frank just said, and I oversee the Build Smart program. While we're still very much focused on Build Smart 2025, and that's the current existing program, which will culminate at the end of this year, we did want to give a preview to what's to come in 2026 and beyond. So today, as I said, going to give a quick preview, kind of an overview of the next iteration of Build Smart, which is Build Smart 2030. You can go to the next slide. Thanks, Morgan. For just some context, for over a decade now, Build Smart has represented New York State's energy reduction goal for state facilities. And Build Smart has evolved over time, but it has always maintained the core objective, which is to reduce energy use in existing state facilities through energy efficiency and building optimization. Along with the overarching goal of decarbonizing our energy supply, reducing demand, reducing energy usage at facilities through energy efficiency, through that building optimization is a key component of an emissions-free state facility. Build Smart 2025 is the current iteration of Build Smart, and it's the collective effort by all the affected entities to achieve 11 trillion BTUs of energy savings at state facilities. And as I mentioned before, that's going to culminate on December 31st, 2025, this year. 11 trillion BTUs may be kind of this gray number that doesn't, hold a lot of weight, but I'll give you an example of just how big that number is. 11 trillion BTUs represents about a 34% reduction in energy use at state facilities from a state fiscal year 2014-2015 baseline. So that's a big number. And that number is in addition to energy efficiency improvements that were made under the original Build Smart New York program. So there's been a lot of investment, a lot of projects, a lot of resources, and a lot of work at our state facilities to bring down that energy usage and just make us as kind of clean, green, and mean as possible. As with previous iterations of Build Smart, you've heard me say there's been a couple iterations over the past decade or so. The development of Build Smart 2030 gave us the opportunity to evaluate the current energy landscape, consider new and emerging technologies, and just overall ensure that what we're doing with Build Smart is well positioned to support EO22 and the larger state climate goals efficiently and affordably. So with all of that in mind, and kind of in light of these really substantial, investments and energy efficiency improvements that so many of the state facilities have made over the past decade or so, like I said, Build Smart 2030, we're looking to align with Executive Order 22 with the decarbonization and climate goals set by the state. And so rather than establishing a new additional energy savings goal, which could inadvertently create competition between various clean energy projects and decarbonization investments, Build Smart 2030 is going to maintain its trajectory of encouraging any cost-effective energy efficiency investments, optimizing our existing portfolio from a performance perspective, and just overall advancing the pipeline of projects that's been created under Build Smart 2025. Next slide. All right, so to that end, and to kind of get into a little bit more of the details of where we're headed in 2030, we did want to give a preview, right? Still focused on Build Smart 2025 and getting to the end of this year and making sure we do hit that goal. But wanted to give a preview of kind of what's our direction going forward in the future and call out some of the key components of Build Smart 2030. Full Build Smart 2030 guidelines will be issued next year in 2026, but again, give you a little overview of kind of where we're headed. So first, you heard me say already that Build Smart 2030 will continue to encourage cost-effective investment in energy efficiency. Build Smart 2030 will maintain the same cost-effectiveness requirements as Build Smart 2025, requiring affected entities to pursue, to the extent feasible, any remaining energy reduction measures with a simple payback of 10 years or less. Any of these new energy projects will be reported into New York Energy Manager just as they have been under Build Smart 2025, so we'll be able to keep track of those. Build Smart 2030 is also going to incorporate the value of carbon. In addition to the economic calculations that are already required under Build Smart 2030 is going to have a separate cost effectiveness calculation to be completed that includes the impact of GHG reduction, and we'll point to the DEC's value of carbon guidance for those calculations. Doing so will help to promote investments in state facilities that consider the overall GHG impact, right, and better align with Executive Order 22. So they'll consider that full GHG impact from facility operations and help to balance the cost savings with the decarbonization component. Build Smart 2030 will increase reporting granularity. So under Build Smart 2025, again, the current program, affected entities report their energy saving projects into New York Energy Manager, and then all those savings are aggregated up to the individual agency or authority level, and that's how they demonstrate progress toward their individual goals. Under Build Smart 2030, we're going to take those existing energy savings goals and further distribute them down to the campus level for some of the largest affected entities. And that way, we'll be able to report on energy savings progress at the campus level in addition to the aggregate level. This additional granularity will be captured during project entry into New York Energy Manager, and it doesn't substantially change how the affected entities currently report their energy information into New York Energy Manager. In addition to that, we're going to be looking to further enhance just our visibility into energy data at state facilities. So Build Smart 2030 will include the best practice that any new equipment, building renovation, large capital project includes asset level submetering as part of the overall capital project investment. So this is in addition to building level submetering that's required under Build Smart 2025. So again, just looking to get that next level of granularity and visibility to the asset level. Build Smart 2030 will maintain the existing baseline, and that's important for reporting consistency, and it's helpful for the affected entities so that they can, provides continuity, predictability, and better helps them understand kind of their progress and track their progress year over year over year. And then finally, all of this will support, as I've mentioned before, Executive Order 22, larger climate goals for the state, beneficial electrification, elimination of fossil fuel use. So Build Smart 2030 will reinforce Executive Order 22 goal to transition buildings off of fossil fuels, and we'll point to guidance from NYSERDA and some of the other Green New York subgroups for direction on that, and of course account for any health and safety pieces and policies that we need to on that front as well. So again, in summary, still very much focused on Build Smart 2025, that 11 trillion BTU goal, make sure that we hit that by the end of this year, and we are on track to do that. And then, but wanted to give you all a preview of what's to come with Build Smart 2030, knowing that full program guidelines will come out next year. Any in-house questions? Yeah, Pete?
You mentioned submetering at the asset level. Can you give us some examples about what that might mean as opposed to the building level?
Sure. So the question was, what exactly do we mean by asset level? And that'll definitely be something that's well defined in the program guidelines that come out next year, but just kind of ad hoc, that would look like something like, it could even look like a building management system often has different, sensors and meters and tracking on an air handling unit or on a chiller or, a boiler or something like that to see what the individual piece of equipment performance looks like and make sure that it's operating properly.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Yeah.
Hi, another comment on that, Peter, if I may. I think we're also trying to understand the distinction between additional energy load through beneficial electrification and where energy efficiency are kind of slightly different. So we're seeing load increase for EV infrastructure getting rolled out, so that might be another asset to submeter and kind of see where things are going up and where they're going down. Thank you.
Yep, great point, Frank. Thanks. All right, thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. Okay, next we are going to turn to a good portion of our agenda covering our Green New York procurement specification updates. This is, where I think the rubber really meets the road here in terms of making sure that we create these specifications and that we can really leverage the state's purchasing power to achieve more sustainable outcomes. So I will turn it over to Delaney Demrow from SUNY, who will walk us through the specifications, what's proposed, what's tentative, what's final, and walk us through some of these approvals.
So Frank, I was just going to jump in first.
Oh, by all means.
So this is Pam Haddad-Hurst at DEC. I co-chair the procurement working group along with Jessica Watson at OGS and Alex Leader at NYPA. And for this meeting, we're going to be, we're making some changes to how we're presenting the specifications. We're changing the approach and streamlining them a little bit this time around. So ahead of the meeting, our council members received the specifications and should have read through all of them. But if folks wanted to refresh their memories, we also printed some copies of a summary sheet that everybody should have a copy of that goes through what the major changes in the specifications would be. We're not going to be voting on specifications individually. We're going to vote on them in batches. We're going to, of course, have conversation after each one, and if there are any changes to the specifications as a result of those conversations, we'll have an individual vote for that particular change spec. But other than that, we're just trying to streamline this and move this along so we can leave time in our agenda for other important conversations. So as folks have probably heard multiple times, we're working with the Center for Sustainable Materials Management and the Responsible Purchasing Network to update all of our specifications. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Delaney Demrow at the Center for Sustainable Materials Management to walk us through some of those changes. So thanks. Next slide.
Thank you so much, Pam.
And one
Thank
more.
you, Pam. All right. And I just want to note that I am joined here today by my colleagues, Irene Gende with the Center for Sustainable Materials Management and Alicia Culver from the Responsible Purchasing Network, who will also be available to answer questions as they come up throughout the presentation. And as Pam mentioned, we are going to be doing a slightly different approach. So first, we're going to go through the tentatively approved specifications. Then we are going to talk about our proposed to rescind a specification, and then getting into the specifications that we have updated this quarter and new ones that we have developed. So getting started, we did not receive any public comments and therefore did not make any changes to the following specifications here. This includes the cardboard file boxes, brooms and brushes, mops, cloths and wiping rags, and organic waste services and recycling services. But before I turn it back over, are there any questions on these specifications?
I don't think so.
All right.
If folks were okay with this, obviously these went out for public comment. We've looked at these and read them once before, at least. At this point, as our process is, once something goes out as a tentative spec and comes back, we vote on it as a final spec. So this will be a final vote for cardboard file boxes, brooms, brushes, mops, cloths, wiping rags, organic waste services, and recycling services. So do I have a motion for to vote these in as final?
Brian Hahn, EFC. I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Marianne Zhang, OGS, I second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. We have some new final specs. All right. Next slide.
Great. Next up, we have 3 specifications that we received public comments on from Clean and Healthy. They were the only ones that submitted a public comment this quarter. And so we'll go through what their feedback was and what our response was and why. So first up, for binders, Clean and Healthy strongly supported New York State's approach to promote the use and purchase of increasingly safer and less toxic products. However, they also urged that binders should be required to be plastic-free rather than it just being encouraged in the additional desirable attributes. However, because of what we have found in the market assessment, we are not going to make any changes to the existing specification. We want to note that the specification currently requires that binders be free of polyvinyl chloride, a toxic type of plastic, and that we chose not to fully prohibit plastic binders from this category, since there is limited availability of 100% plastic-free binders, and that we are encouraging that plastic binders contain recycled content. We were unable to make this a requirement because detailed information on the amount of recycled content and whether or not it was sourced from post-consumer material or industrial material was inconsistently available. So with that in mind, we unfortunately could not make any changes in response to Clean and Healthy's feedback. Next slide. And I should note we're going to go through all three of these together, and then we'll go for the vote. Next up, we received comments on floor maintenance pads and sponges and scrubbers. Again, they supported New York State's approach, and they also urged that these two products also be plastic-free, even if they are required to contain recycled content. I included this screenshot here. This is for the sponges and scrubbers specification, but a similar framework was used for the floor maintenance pads as well. Just wanted to note that we're requiring that the products be made of one of a few materials. So it could either be a plant-based material or plastic with minimum post-consumer and total recycled content requirements, and a few other materials that were considered acceptable. Next slide. So in response to their request that these products be made plastic-free, since we could not prohibit these from the specification, since plastic products for floor maintenance pads and sponges and scrubbers currently dominate the market, but there were a significant number of those available that contained recycled content. And sponges and scrubbers are also required to be not made of melamine, a toxic type of plastic. But to encourage purchasers to use non-plastic items, we have added preferred next to the plant-based fiber options in the minimum requirements. Are there any questions on those three specifications?
Looks like there aren't. In that case, I think we can, wait, oh, sorry. Are you?
I'm looking at you. Feel
Okay,
free
I
to
thought you were
proceed.
looking past me. Okay, so in that case, we can call for a vote then. So and for this is for two different specs, one of which we made the change of adding preferred for the sponges and scrubbers and floor maintenance. Wait, I'm sorry. The change of preferred, Delaney, was that to both floor and maintenance pads and sponges and scrubbers?
Yes, so
Okay.
we're voting for three specifications: binders that had no changes, and the preferred on the floor maintenance pads, and sponges and scrubbers.
Okay, so let's take the one that's had a change separately. So the sponges and scrub, floor maintenance and sponges and scrubbers both added preferred, right?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm sorry. So let's vote on those two first. So do we have a motion?
Frank from NYSERDA, I'll put forward the motion.
Ron from Parks, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. And then we'll do another vote for the binder spec, which remained unchanged. So do we have a motion?
Frank from NYSERDA again, the motion.
Ron from Parks, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're good.
All right, next up, we are proposing to rescind the surface cleaning wipes specification. This specification was first brought to the council last September, and it was originally developed to direct state purchasers to use non-disinfecting surface cleaning wipes that contained safer and less toxic chemicals, and to encourage those that were made of plant-based and certified compostable materials. However, they were only required to be certified compostable if they were labeled compostable. So they just couldn't be making that false claim without a certification. However, we are now proposing to rescind this specification based on feedback that we received from the procurement working group, as well as to align with Executive Order 22's directive to phase out the use of single-use plastics, since this specification did not fully outright prohibit plastic wipes. Additionally, there are a multitude of safer surface cleaning products that can be applied with a reusable cloth rather than a single-use wipe. And based on further research, there's currently only one product available for purchase in New York State that meets the specification, and it is not compostable. And so for these reasons, we wanted to propose rescinding the specification. Are there any questions?
Okay.
This is Frank from NYSERDA. I guess this is more of like a practical question of, now that this is rescinded, it seems like this won't be a requirement. However, as Delaney mentioned, there are these other alternatives that I think operationally we're going to make sure agencies have access to and are looking to implement in their operations. I guess, how does this proceed?
Sure. So, I mean, people can still buy wipes. They just won't be considered Green New York compliant. So that, that is the one change. But this came as a result of conversations when we were talking about what's going to be coming up in a few minutes. We're going to talk about hand sanitizers, and hand sanitizing wipes were part of that. And as we started having conversations about the wipes and how durable they have to be, we looked further into them and realized that the majority of the market were not compostable and did have plastic, or plastic components to their makeup. And realizing that EO22 is discouraging the use of single-use plastic, we thought that we should not have a wipe or be able to call wipes green when the majority of them really are single-use and not biodegradable. So if folks need wipes, they can still buy them. They just won't be considered Green New York compliant, and they can use their form, function, and utility exemption under state finance law to continue to buy them. Although we would prefer that you don't.
Right. Well, number one, I appreciate the due diligence, and number two, your explanation was very clear now, so thank you, Pam.
Are there any other questions? Okay, so I'm looking for a vote to rescind the specification for surface cleaning wipes.
I will make the motion. Courtney Denton.
Peter Hoffman, I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Next up, we're going to go through the updated specifications. There are 9 specifications that have been updated, and I'm going to highlight what the key changes are, but there are full details in the summary table. And I'll pause after each specification to answer any questions as well. So first up, for hand sanitizers, compared to the existing specification, we are no longer allowing hand sanitizing wipes and prohibiting aerosol hand sanitizers. Any questions on this? All right, I'll move forward to surface disinfectants And if a question does come to mind and I'm already going, please feel free to cut me off. So for surface disinfectants, we are separating from the existing spec. Currently, surface disinfectants and food contact surface sanitizers were in the same specification, but we are now only setting the specification for disinfectants. Sanitizers are slightly different, but we are looking to set that specification in the future. We have clarified the requirement that disinfectants must be registered by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and listed on the New York State, I think, what is that? The Pesticide Administration database. So that we know that those disinfectants contain safe disinfecting ingredients. Additionally, we are adding that.
Delaney, let me just stop you there. Just because they're registered by DEC and are in the NICEPAD database does not mean that they're greener. It just means that any disinfectants in New York State have to be registered by DEC. So they're registered also by EPA, but then they also need the second registration by DEC to be used here.
Thank you for making that clarification. Alicia, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I don't know if there's other bullets to this, but we also changed some of the approved active ingredients because there aren't certifications for disinfectants. The way that we determine whether it's a safer disinfectant, that the active ingredient can't be a carcinogen or an asthmagen. And so we made it more limited than it was. Partly because some of the active ingredients were only approved for food contact surface sanitizers, which, as you said, may get addressed separately. And the other is some of the active ingredients are chlorinated, and they can then release chlorine gas or produce chlorine bleach, both of which are asthmagens. So those are allowed on the green cleaning contract. So we just narrowed the list. There's still plenty of products that are available for institutional use, even for hospital grade disinfection, but it does not include any of the things like NADCC or hypochlorous acid because of the asthma link.
Thank you for adding that, Alicia. And then the last thing I want to note that was changed in the spec was prohibiting aerosol surface disinfectants. Are there any questions on that specification?
Okay.
All right.
There aren't. So I'll then be looking for a motion to update the surface disinfectant and the, oh wait, no, we're not doing a vote yet. Are we doing a vote yet?
We were going to do all 9 of the updated specifications together, but
okay,
if you
yes,
prefer
yes.
to do them as
No, let's keep going. I'm sorry. I was on autopilot there.
Sounds good. All right, so the next specification that was updated is food serviceware. This specification combines 2 existing specs, those for single use for food service utensils and food service containers and wrappers. They're now going to be addressed together in this updated spec. The key change that we made here is that we've added requirements for reusable food serviceware as an option to be considered Green New York compliant, and that we have removed the option for recyclable food serviceware and items containing recycled or sustainably harvested content as the minimum requirement by itself. However, compostable products sometimes do contain recycled content or sustainably harvested content, so those attributes are still going to be present in the products, but they will not be the only requirement. Are there any questions on this specification?
I had one question. It's Marianne from OGS. I was curious. You have then the minimum requirements. It says the reusable food serviceware must be made of one of the following materials, and there's a list of 5. And I was curious how you got to this list of 5, and does this really cover all of the acceptable materials from which food serviceware can be made from?
Yeah, so we did research on what the common materials are for reusable food serviceware, both in for dine-in and to-goes. And we also brought this list to the Department of Health to review, and they gave us the thumbs up on it, but also recommended that we added language about the condition of the food serviceware. For example, if the ceramic has a chip, it's no longer considered safe for food use. And then same with like plastic items, if they have like scratches or dents, those are also no longer considered safe. So it's basically the requirements around the material of the item when you purchase it, but just to be aware of the potential risks as it is being used.
Thank you.
Can I just add that there's so, because RPN has also done a lot of research into this specs for reusable food serviceware, and there's certain materials that are not considered acceptable. One is melamine because it leaches. Certain types of plastics that are considered reusable have BPA, so those were screened out as not acceptable. And then some types of reusables really don't hold up very well. They really aren't very reusable. They might melt or the adhesives break down. So what's left over is what's listed in the spec.
Were there any further questions on that before I move forward to furniture? All right. So for furniture, compared to the existing specification, the approach was modified to more heavily rely on third-party certifications. This way, the individual purchaser does not have to verify, whether or not that item contains, certain chemicals, as those are being, screened and verified by the certifying entities. The specification still prioritizes the purchase and use of surplus property. We have added that used items outside of surplus property are also acceptable. And as I mentioned, new products containing those multi-attribute certifications. And the specification still allows for furniture that is certified under a single attribute low emitting certification. So I want to note the key difference between the multi-attribute certifications and the single attribute ones. For multi-attributes, that addresses a wide variety of things, including, material toxics, as well as volatile organic compound emissions, as well as the types of materials and, manufacturing practices and things like that. Whereas the single attribute one, this just addresses the volatile organic compound emissions. But we included both to increase the range of products that would be considered GreenNY compliant. Are there any questions on furniture?
Nope.
All right, we can go to the next one. All right, so first up is coating removal products. Compared to the existing spec, we are now prohibiting aerosol products. And we have also updated the list of prohibited chemical ingredients to reflect what is currently listed on the California Prop 65 list and other toxic chemicals that are used in coating removal products, such as like paint strippers and things like that. For sorbents, during the market assessment, we did find sorbents that contain disinfectants or made antimicrobial claims. And so we have added that sorbents may not contain those types of products or make those kinds of claims. And this is actually a typo for the second bullet under sorbents. What was actually updated was the recycled content requirements. So I just wanted to make that note there. And then for indoor waste containers, compared to the existing spec, we have added that separate container lids must contain 10% post-consumer recycled content. And we removed the requirement that they must not contain polyvinyl chloride or PVC because we did not find any products in our market assessment that contained PVC. Are there any questions on these three specifications?
Sorry, just one clarifying question. You said you removed the requirement that it must not contain PVC because there are no waste containers on the market with PVC?
Yes, that is correct.
All right. I thank you, Delaney. Next slide, please.
Okay. So for envelopes, we have added that the envelopes cannot be made of plastic. This was not strictly prohibited in the existing spec, but we just wanted to add that to clarify that point. And then we have also removed the requirement that they must be elemental chlorine free because that is not something that is frequently labeled, and because these are made with recycled content, that typically does not apply to those types of products. However, we have moved the process chlorine free attribute into the additional desirable attributes, since that is something that can be labeled on envelopes containing recycled content. And we did see a few products with that in the market assessment, but not enough to make it required. Any questions on envelopes? All right, then I will move forward to the reusable bags. Based on our market assessment, we replaced the recycled content requirement for 50% post-consumer to 50% total recycled content because the reusable bags that we found that contained post-consumer recycled content often did not specify what that percentage was. However, we did find a significant number of products with total recycled content above that 50%. And we also are adding that they cannot be made of polyvinyl chloride or PVC or vinyl because that is a increasingly common material. It's the material used for those clear reusable bags that people typically take into like sports arenas and things like that. And so because those are commonly used, we wanted to include that here. Are there any questions on reusable bags?
Nothing in the room.
Okay, then we can go to the tentative vote. I'll hand it back.
Okay. So for the tentative vote, we're going to vote these specifications in and put them out for public comment, or public input rather. And that will be probably in the next, the State Register and the Environmental Notice Bulletin, not the one that's coming up, but the one after that, because there's a little bit of a lag between when we can submit them and when they actually get released to the public. So if folks are interested in commenting on those, keep an eye on those two bulletins. And for now, we're going to vote in as tentative to go out for public input, hand sanitizers, surface disinfectants, food serviceware, furniture, coating removal products, sorbents, indoor waste containers, envelopes, and reusable bags. Do I have a motion to vote these in as tentative?
This is Frank from NYSERDA. I'll put forward the motion to vote.
Do we have a second?
Brian Hahn, EFC, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The motion carries, and these will be in the Environmental Notice Bulletin and the State Register probably in about 2 weeks.
Great. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Delaney. Thanks for everyone who asked good questions and provided some good information here today. We are going to continue with our additional specifications. These are new ones,
Yeah,
right?
so Frank, to clarify, the specifications that we just voted in were updates to existing specifications that we already have on record, and these, we have a few more that are brand-new specifications that we have not had before.
Yep, we'll continue. Thanks. Now on to the new specs. And we've got our slides synced up too. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Frank, and thank you, Pam. We have 4 new specifications, and what we have listed on the screen is the minimum requirements, a more succinct version, but all of the criteria are listed. So for pens, we are requiring that they are either refillable or contain post-consumer recycled content or a minimum total recycled content. We are requiring that they do not contain PVC. This is a common material that is used to add branding, or like the pen like wraps that they're called, and things like that. And then also we did find a few pens that were labeled as containing antimicrobial additives. And so we are requiring that they are not labeled as antimicrobial or make that claim. Any questions on pens? All right. Next,
I have a question, actually, Delaney, about do you address the latex issue in pens? Some of them have like have latex rubber, and there can be like a latex allergy. Is that something that came up at all in the stakeholder meeting?
No, that is not something that came up, so we did not address it in the specification, but does anyone else have any thoughts on latex?
I would think, you know,
Great.
we haven't done a market assessment or talked about this yet, so I don't know what on the market is labeled as containing latex. I don't know if that's something regular with pens, but maybe if we find that that is the case, this is going out for a tentative spec, so there is still some time to comment and potentially change it. So maybe let's make a note to look into that.
I think there's some labeled latex-free. I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know how common that is, but I know it has been an issue, and some of the pens are advertising that. So it could be maybe an additional attribute to consider.
All right, Delaney, take
Thank you for
note.
raising that. Yes, I will talk with the team and we'll look into that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Alicia. Moving forward to mobile phones, they are required to have a third-party certification, that being EPEAT at the silver level or higher, TCO certified, or UL Ecologo certified. Any questions on this?
What's a standard iPhone classified as?
Did you hear that? What would a standard iPhone be? Do we know if they're EPEAT or TCO?
I believe they are EPEAT certified. During the market assessment, there were a significant number of iPhones that were listed under both EPEAT and TCO, but I would have to go back and double check if there's a specific model you're curious about.
So during our market assessment, we make sure that when we're making something a requirement, that there are a significant amount on the market. So I would assume, yeah.
And also from what we found, it seemed like a majority of the products, or like the cell phones that state agencies purchase, so that being like iPhones and the Samsungs, were covered by either of the specifications.
Thank you so much.
Then I guess I will move, no problem. And I'll move forward to televisions with the only requirement that they are Energy Star certified for energy efficiency. Any questions?
Nope.
All right, we can move on to the next slide then. And the last new specification is turf and landscaping equipment. And we worked on this one in partnership with DEC and many of the other agencies that have operations staff to make sure it was reflective of what they are using on the ground. And so the requirements for turf and landscaping equipment is that they are either manual or electric or cordless with a rechargeable battery. And the electric and cordless ones must have a third-party certification for electrical safety. And then for mowers specifically, they must be constructed with a metal deck and chassis for durability. Are there any questions on that specification?
No questions. I just wanted to note that because the state does use a lot of really heavy-duty equipment, we did limit the scope on this. I don't have it in front of me, but the scope is narrowed to certain equipment that is not really heavy-duty.
And DOT appreciates that.
We listen. We listen.
This is Ron from Parks. You know, different from DOT, we do have a lot of manicured lawns. So we don't use the heavier tractor-pulled material. 27 golf courses, I'm assuming you've all been up to places like Saratoga Spa Park. So I'm just wondering if you've done the market assessment on this, do they hold up? Does it apply to commercial type equipment?
Morgan?
I would say,
Or Delaney?
I was going to turn it to Morgan, so go ahead.
Yeah, from what we've seen, we have really good feedback. Specifically at DEC, a lot of our staff has been using the new electric and battery powered equipment, and so far, it's been really well received, and they actually prefer it, so we haven't heard any comments yet.
All right, and we've been switching over, so I mean, this is just to get the green certification.
Okay, I think that brings us to the end of our sort of newer specifications that are going to be going out for a tentative vote. So what we'd like to do now is similar to what we've been doing, is sort of a batch vote on those that are going out for tentative approval. Pens, mobile phones, televisions, and turf and landscape equipment. Do I have a motion for approval?
Peter Hoffman from DASNY would like to make a motion for approving all these specs.
Do I have a second?
Pam Haddad-Hurst from DEC.
Thank you, Pam. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. These will be posted as tentative specifications, and we'll be revisiting those at a future session. Thank you again to all our presenters.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're going to move along to the next segment of our agenda, where we're going to hear updates from our working groups. You know, these working groups are the engines of progress. It's a great series of groups that are filled with subject matter experts all getting together to understand and solve some of our biggest challenges. And really, once those solutions are found, sharing out that guidance to help everyone succeed. So we are going to start with an update from our Operations and Engagement Working Group, presented by Jasmine Johnson from the Battery Park City Authority. Jasmine.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so for us in ONE, the biggest thing that we're working on right now is this procurement training. The goal of it is training about sort of procurement 101, and we'll have a few different modules. Right now, we've almost completed module 1, which is intended to be much denser, about an hour long, and to give the general intro to procurement. And so with that, we're putting some final touches on it before building out the script, and then we'll move on to developing the other modules. And that's kind of the biggest update from us right now.
Great, thank you so much. Really appreciate that update, and as someone who's seen kind of firsthand some of the work coming together, I'm excited to see where this goes. Next, with our embodied carbon working group, Marianne Jang.
Thanks, Frank. So a couple of things. We have our first round of embodied carbon or EPD reporting due this quarter, and we're very excited to see the reporting from different agencies. We'll use the data that we're getting about the quantities of materials that agencies are procuring and any global warming potential information if that's available. We're going to be using that to, establish our own understanding of what we're using and our emissions. So we're excited about that. Second is actually we met with so New York State is obviously sort of a little bit of a leader in the pack in terms of setting these emission standards for our materials, and so we've met with Massachusetts Embodied Carbon Council. They're also looking to set standards around their low carbon concrete procurement. So we met with them and sort of advised on how we've done this, so for a peer state, so that was exciting. Last is we met with, so Columbia University we're interested in working with us as a capstone client, so through Tom Abdullah, who's at MTA. I don't think anyone from MTA is here today, but thanks to him, he teaches a sustainability master's course, and they were interested in looking at embodied carbon, in low carbon construction materials as a market and producing a report around that. So there's a great report out there on their website about the market for low embodied carbon materials, and really makes the case that it's not much more expensive. So we're excited about that. That's it, Frank.
Great, thank you very much, Marianne. Appreciate that update, and thank you for being connected and really helping to bring these ideas to the market. All right, next slide. We're going to pass the mic to Kevin Brouillard to hear about our zero emissions vehicles conversion working group.
Good afternoon and happy Climate Week. The ZEV Working Group, sorry, I haven't talked in a minute, has 3 key updates. The first is that medium and heavy duty fleet electrification plans are due at the end of the calendar year. There is a template for applicable affected entities to use, and there's also other resources available in the GreenNY SharePoint, but please reach out to the working group with any questions. And then second, there's a new virtual training for New York State employees on electric vehicles. It's organized into 2 modules, one for fleet drivers and another for facility managers. So if your affected entity has fleet vehicles or you have EV charging at your facilities, we encourage participation from applicable employees. And it will be offered through the remainder of 2025 for free with support from NYSERDA. And registration is now open online. We'll distribute that through the working groups on GreenNY SharePoint, but also feel free to reach out for that link. And then the third update is we will soon be doing an update to our light duty ZEV dashboard on the OGS website. So this will include Q3 2025 numbers for our light duty fleet and the charging ports at state facilities across the state. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate the update and transitioning the fleet over. Next, with an update from our procurement working group. We've heard from Pam a lot, but what else are we here to say?
You're going to hear from me again. So we already covered the specs, and we're working with operations and engagement on that training. So we've been busy. But I wanted to note also that OGS Procurement Services is doing some good work to make sure that EO22 language is in our new solicitations. So we're making sure that we're referencing the specifications as well as packaging language and other policies when we're putting solicitations out to bid. They're also working to add columns in the price lists where vendors can self-identify if items meet the Green New York specifications. Folks making those purchases still will probably need to double check that, but we're trying to make it easier to identify these products. And then also adding columns on sales reports that can also help track purchasing for when we do our Green New York survey every year. So we are doing a bit of work behind the scenes to try and make all of this easier for all of you. And as we're busy making these specs easier to follow and making products easier to find, other folks are noticing and beginning to look at and use New York specs. So we have something called the Green Purchasing Communities Program, where we have about 13 municipalities who've signed a pledge to use the Green New York specifications in their own procurement programs. And we have regular meetings with them and share best practices around purchasing and who's finding what products where. And so there's a lot of good conversation happening that will help inform what we might be able to transfer over to the state as well. So I think we're doing something right.
I think so too. Thank you very much, Pam, and we really appreciate all of that, not just the specs that we've seen today, but the back end of making it all easier for all of us, and as you've said, not just state government, but everyone else who says this is a good idea and a good model to follow. All right, thank you. Next slide, please. All right, for the Renewable Electricity Working Group, that's me. I will mention briefly that we've been really just continuing to focus our support on agencies planning and implementing projects. We focused on a new kind of procurement option where we've coordinated with some of our state partners regarding the 2026 voluntary Tier 1 rec pre-sale that NYSERDA helped to run. So we helped to make sure that that process was clear and straightforward. We're also really helping to support the development of behind-the-meter projects as much as we've got a pipeline of those types of projects. Solar projects are quite common, so we want to make sure that those are being nurtured as a pathway to compliance. And finally, also making sure that power purchase agreements are out there and available as a tool to round out the options. So overall, our goal is, again, to continue to update these tools and help agencies as they figure out their pathway in this area. So we'll continue reporting out progress next time. That's all that I have, and next we're going to be hearing from Heather Ipson again, the chair of our reporting working group. I'll pause briefly just to give Heather an amazing shout out. She is a champion for all of our reporting efforts, really helping to collect all of the data, make sense of it all, and to work with some pretty creative people to put out a great work product. So thank you, Heather, for all the work that you do. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Frank. I also wanted to thank everyone who has submitted data. I know how much effort that takes, and it is quite a heavy lift to get all of that into Qualtrics, and so I wanted to thank everyone who helped with the annual report, including the subject matter experts as well. I couldn't do that without you guys because you have pulled together all of that information and created it into a format that everyone can read and enjoy. So yeah, I really appreciate everyone's help getting that through. And very excited that the press release will be going out, I think, right after this meeting. So that's going to be very exciting. But we are going to keep going. The cycle continues. So the reporting form for fiscal year 24-25 was sent to sustainability coordinators at the beginning of this month, September 8th, I believe, if my dates are correct. So if you're a sustainability coordinator and you did not get that link, let me know, because that's how we get all the information that goes into the report. So we need your help. And Speaking of which, we also have a webinar to explain any of the changes that have happened to the reporting form. They're not crazy, don't worry, but we do want to make those very transparent and some of the rationale for why we maybe modified a couple of questions or are asking a few additional things. So that's Monday, September 29th at 3 p.m. Feel free to join us. If you don't have a registration link, you can always email me, but that did go out to sustainability coordinators earlier this week as well, as a reminder. Finally, our office hours are going to begin on October 14th. Office hours are just an opportunity for sustainability coordinators to ask questions if they have any about Green New York reporting. There's a specific schedule of topics, but you're welcome to come to any or all of those sessions. They are meant to connect you directly with subject matter experts that can help answer your questions that you may have as you're filling out the Green New York reporting form. So those are going to be 10 a.m. every Tuesday from October 14th until basically when the report is due. So we're here to help you with Green New York reporting, and that's all I've got for now, I think. So thanks.
Thank you again, Heather, and thank you to all of our sustainability coordinators. Really, we can't thank you enough for giving us the data that shows us how you're all doing and working with us in so many ways. All right, next we will move to the next slide for our waste diversion working group, Nasiba Elmi from DEC.
So Nasiba was unable to join us, so you're going to hear from me again. So this is Pam Haddadhurst. So our waste working group over the last quarter has been busy sort of laying the foundation to move from planning to implementation and resource development. We put together a survey to ask affected entities where they most needed guidance and support. And based on the results of that survey, we've recruited some leads and some participants to help run some new sub-working groups. So we're going to have new working groups on managing and reducing publicly generated waste, on organics collection, and on waste diversion planning and waste tracking. These subgroups are going to start meeting probably by the end of this month, and they're going to be creating tangible deliverables like practical templates, checklists, troubleshooting guides, guidance documents, and other resources. So we've got a lot of work to do, but we have a lot of people who are joining us to do that work. So that's exciting. And then the broader waste working group is going to continue to meet quarterly and is going to serve as an open space just for discussion, presentations, collaboration, peer support, and maybe like open office hours kinds of meetings where you can bring any topic to the meeting. So those will still be happening, and our next full working group meeting is going to be taking place on October 16th at 10 o'clock. So that's all for waste.
Great, thank you so much, Pam. Thanks for filling in for Nasiba. It's clear that there's a lot going on there, and glad to see us again making good progress. Passing the mic back to Marianne Jang from OGS to tell us what's been happening with the Sustainable and Resilient Design Network.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank. So I'm here obviously on behalf of also colleagues from NYPA and NYSERDA who co-run this group. As a reminder, the group supports implementation of the Decarbonization and Climate Resiliency Design Guide, which applies to all state projects of over a certain size starting this year. So the network has been established to continue sort of sharing information and knowledge about the topic. So we held deep dive topical webinars between April and June. The most recent one was on climate risk assessment, and that was in June, and we had speakers from DEC talking about stormwater management guidelines. In July, we held a webinar on project tracking and reporting, and it was really a discussion between all the members of the working group to share how we'll be attempting to track and report out on our progress there. And in September, again, it was more discussion of challenges and opportunities in terms of implementing the design guide. So we look forward to it'll be bi-monthly now. Every 2 months we'll meet as a network, all the sort of design professionals across the state, and we'll just be sharing and learning from each other. Thanks.
Thank you, Marianne. All right. I'm going to move us along. We're at the last slide. This is the final comments and adjournment slide. This is where we've got a chance to hear from any of our Green New York Council members. We've covered a lot of different topics today. Would love to hear if you've got any concluding remarks. I will pause briefly to see if anyone would like to share anything.
I have one quick thing to share, which is I don't know if any of you have been out onto our lovely concourse recently or been in the food court, but I would urge you to have a closer look at our lovely bins, because we've now labeled and decaled all the bins in the concourse. So we have blue lids for the bins that take recycling, black lids for landfill bins, and we've put new decals on them. In reusing the bins, we've saved quite a lot of money. Basically, our metal shop stripped, powder coated, and cut the lids and made them blue to put on top. So very proud of those new bins. The food court has also a nice new set of bins, large posters that tell you what goes in what receptacle. So we're very excited about that. And that's only the start. Obviously, the public spaces is where we wanted to start rolling out, the new signage and the new colors, but that'll be expanding across ESP and eventually beyond. So wanted to share that on Climate Week.
Does that include organics recycling as well?
Not for the front of house. We have restarted the kitchen scraps collection in the back of house of all the food vendors here, but the front of house is going to be, that'll be in the future.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Anyone else care to make a comment? All right. This has been an incredibly productive meeting. We've officially released our 13th annual progress report. We've looked forward to preview Build Smart 2030. We have gone through and voted on numerous procurement specifications that really kind of reaffirm our commitment to using the state's purchasing power for good in the marketplace. So we're very proud of that. So as we've heard, it's New York City Climate Week. There's a lot on people's minds about this topic, and I'm very proud of what is going on here in New York State, how we've been able to pull our resources together, implement a vision that is seeing results, and really, as we look ahead, encourage us to continue that momentum. I know our working groups are doing a lot, and we've got a number of milestones that we'll continue to hit. So, as I've said before, many hands make light work, so your continued engagement and expertise on all of this is the thing that makes our progress possible. So thank you again, and with that, I will see if any of the other council members want to entertain a motion to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn our meeting today?
Ron Parks, I'll make the motion.
Anyone second that?
Ryan, EFC, I'll second.
Just like that, I believe our meeting has concluded. Thank you all. Have a good afternoon.